You are wasting money buying amenities if you do not understand how to market them. I cannot stress this enough. It has been driving me nuts watching people go out there to buy a hot tub that's going to end up costing them $10,000 and then they don't know how to properly market it. And that's just one example of all of these different amenities that people are buying, along with buying the actual home, not even know how to market that. And then they put it all together and it looks awful. It looks so bad. Your Airbnb photos should look like they're straight out of a magazine, right? When you flip through a magazine, every single last photo is beautiful. Your Airbnb should be beautiful. Your competition's Airbnbs are beautiful. And so what I have done today is put together a presentation to be able to teach you what beautiful looks like and what great marketing is. I've brought up a bunch of examples of terrible marketing, and we're going to use these back and forth as examples so that you can see what I see after going through tens of thousands of listings to be able to understand what makes an Airbnb great, okay? So let's jump into it. Your Airbnb marketing sucks, all right? I hope that hurts your feelings a little bit, because if it does, it maybe will motivate you a little bit more. Please don't take it out of me. I'm just trying to make you some more money. Let's get into these examples. The very first one we're going to get into is the hot tub. This hot tub photo is absolutely perfect. And the reason being is because they have set the scene for what is going to happen in the hot tub. They are creating the experience. They are displaying what is actually going to happen, right? And that is what you want to do when it comes to Airbnb marketing. Here's an example of what you don't want to do. This is the worst of the worst example because one, the cover is on, two, the photo is overexposed, and nothing is getting me excited about this hot tub. Whereas this here, when I look at this, it's the exact same amenity. They probably spent the exact same amount of money or close to on both of these amenities. However, when I look at this one, I am seeing in my mind this scene of me hopping into this hot tub and knowing that I've got a nice robe when I get out and I can have a drink while I'm in there, and I've got some snacks while I'm in there, and all of these things, especially those lights in the background, are making me excited about being at this specific Airbnb and sitting in this hot tub. And that's the experience that you want to evoke from the person who is trying to decide which Airbnb to book. My other favorite thing about this hot tub is that it's barely a photo of a hot tub, right? You're barely actually even seeing the hot tub. Like, you just see the top of it there, and everyone obviously knows like, oh, it's a hot tub, right? They also have the lights on, but really if you look at the photo, it's focused on the drinks here and nothing else. But yet it sets the scene so perfectly that you get excited about this in comparison to this. And when you stare at these side by side, it is a night and day difference between these two. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you out there are probably somewhere in the middle, right? You probably have the cover off, you have some decent photos, things along those lines. With that being said, I want you to strive to be great, and I want you to strive to look like the one on the left, even if yours is okay. And the reason being is because competition in the Airbnb industry is just continuing to get better. But there is a plateau at a certain point. It can only get so much better, right? And in my opinion, this photo on the left is the best of the best photo that I have ever seen when it comes to a hot tub. And so if all you did, right, was go to redo a photo shoot, but make it look exactly like this one, everybody else just has to catch up to you, right? Whereas right now, maybe you're just, again, somewhere in between these two. You're not way down here, but you're somewhere in between these two. But all of your competitors are going to start to watch these videos, and then they're going to do a little bit better than you. And so that's what I don't want to have happen. So what I'm strongly recommending is when I show you all these recommendations, just go out and do them. Even if you're in the middle, even if you're okay, even if you're good, just go be great. That's what I want to see out of you guys. Now, the next one I want to cover here is string lights. Yes, string lights are one of the cheapest amenities, but they can make a world of a difference if you understand how to market your string lights, okay? String lights create this, once again, experience in people's minds of what's going to be happening at night at this Airbnb. And there's just something that happens to human beings when they see string lights properly edited and properly displayed. This I cannot stress enough. You 1000% need to edit your string light photos to make them look how humans actually perceive them in reality. Because if you were to just take a photo of string lights with a camera, the camera is not powerful enough to actually display what it looks like to us. And if in the next time that you are walking around string lights at night, ask yourself, does this look like the edited photos I see? see, and you'll probably be like, it's a lot closer to the non-edited photos, which I'll show you in just a moment, right? And so you have to edit them and you want to really illuminate them. And I'll give you an example of the difference between really illuminated and not somewhat illuminated, right? But this is such a great photo. The whole property is beautiful, but let's ignore the fact that it's beautiful and just focus on what they did really well with the lighting. They have a lot of lights, really, really illuminated. Every single last bulb has this same edit and it spews out light, right? On top of that, the interior wall here is all lit up as well, because that's what people are looking for. They want to be able to see in this area at night, whereas all of this is really, really dark. So they kind of hid everything else, which brings our eyes right over here, right? The other piece I love about this is that yes, they got the fire pit in there, which helps a lot, but more importantly is that they lit up the interior of the home with these lights as well, because for some reason it does something for us when we're looking at the house and it's lit up from the outside with string lights. The whole combination of it really does something to our psyche that gets us excited. But the last thing here is they actually lit up the sky as well. Now, a camera will never get the photos like this, but if you're standing out there at night and you look up, you're gonna see the stars. Get the photos edited, but not over edited. There is a balance. Just make sure your editor understands that balance. Now, obviously, this is an extreme example of what not to do. So they added string lights, but they just didn't turn them on, and they didn't take a twilight photo, and they didn't get the photo edited. Again, it's an extreme example between these two, and you're probably somewhere in the middle of these two, and this has got to be one of the easiest ones to be able to fix, because it's just hiring somebody on Fiverr.com to be able to go in and edit the photo better than what your photo probably currently looks like, right? And so this is great compared to terrible. You're somewhere in between. Get yourself up to great. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. Here's an example of two properties that are very, very similar. And if you were to look at the one on the right, you might think to yourself, this one has been edited. It's a twilight photo. It's got the illumination on these light bulbs, but the problem here is that it's too dark, right? If you're looking at this one on the left-hand side compared to this one on the right-hand side, it's a very minor difference between these two, but this one on the right is just darker. The whole house is darker. The sky is darker. The trees, everything about the image, if you just look at them side by side here, you can see that one is darker than the other. And the reason this is so important is because when people are booking out these Airbnbs, the brighter the photos, the more confident they're gonna feel and the more good they're gonna feel about the property. Unless you are trying to go for some filter that gives it this aurora feeling, I don't really know how to explain it. There is this darker look and feel that a lot of people in upstate New York will do, but in this setting, you don't want that. You want to make sure your photos are bright and they show off and they make people feel good when they see these photos, okay? So a couple tweaks that this property could have done here on the right-hand side is they could have edited the photo to be brighter. They could have edited the sky to have a little pink in it. They could have made sure that every single room had the light on, because this one didn't. And then the whole image itself could have been just lifted up in brightness by quite a little bit. So now you can see, like, most people fall into this right-hand category rather than the left-hand side. And if you fall into the right-hand side, get it fixed. Go from good to great. Now, another example, we're gonna bring this inside now, and we're gonna get to the pool table on the interior. I wanna do a full game room one, but most people just have pool tables. And so I wanna kind of talk about pool tables specifically, because when you take a photo of a pool table, it makes sense to set up with the balls and the sticks, and a lot of people will do that. But the mistake that people will make is that they shoot it from the wrong angle, and then they also cut off things on the table. So let me just show you bad examples first. The right-hand side image here has the table set up with the balls, but it actually cut off the sticks. Whereas if we look at this one over here, the sticks are not cut off. It feels more natural when we're looking at it in comparison to this one here. It's also shot at an angle that makes it look really, really long, and it's not very natural in comparison to this one that feels a little bit more natural. Now, the one on the left-hand side here was an image shot straight down, which makes the table feel really small and awkward, and it's not even properly centered, and it just doesn't really look that exciting. Now, they're all the same thing, but this one is going to hit home so much better for the person viewing it, because in their mind, they know it's a pool table faster, for one, because when you look at a pool table, you generally are standing over it looking down. You're not from a distance looking at it this way. And this, to me, gets me more excited about the pool table in comparison to both of these images, right? And if we kind of put these two side by side, you can see the one on the right-hand side just looks sloppy. The one on the left-hand side looks really nice, and it even has a nice little background setup as well to give you more images and get you more excited about the property. Again, you guys are probably in the middle. Try and get to that great setting rather than just being in the middle. Now, this one here, I wanted to use this as an example because this is more of a wide shot of a game room, which some people screw up. And here's how they screw it up. They take like a fishbowl image, or they just sort of take an image where nothing is really the subject of the image. It's just the room itself is the subject. And that's always a mistake. Let me stress that. Every single image should have a subject. If you look at this photo here, the subject is still still the pool table. Your eyes still gravitate to this pool table. But after you're done looking at the pool table, you kind of pull out a little bit and you can see the size of the room and you can start to see some of the other things that exist within this room. Whereas with this one, it's kind of all over the place and you don't gravitate to one to the other, but your mind kind of tells you like, okay, there's a pool table, there's a ping pong table, but it's not exciting. It's kind of this weird angle. There's a difference to this, okay? You always want to have a subject. Sometimes I struggle to explain exactly what's wrong with the photo, but you just know it when you see it. And so an image like this of a game room that properly shows it off is so much better, right? One other little tip I'm just gonna slide into this is always put a little rug underneath your pool table, because just the legs, it looks a little awkward and by itself when you get this like further back photo, but if you have a rug underneath, it just looks so much more complete, like it's its own little package. Here's a side by side. Again, you can kind of feel why the left image looks better than the right image. Now let's talk about fire pits, all right? There are a ridiculous amount of really poorly put together fire pits that are just like ugly looking fire pits because of the chairs that they use or the way they set it up. And so instead of finding the ugliest fire pit and saying, oh, it's not marketed properly, instead what I wanted to do is try and find two images that were very close to each other and showing you the slight differences of why one was worse than the other. And so we have this first image which very clearly shows off the fire pit, the string lights, the sky, and then we have this next one that technically is doing almost the exact same thing. But when we look at these side by side, we run into the exact same issue that we ran into when we were looking at those two backyards and one image was just darker than the other one. So this image on the right hand side here, it's just too dark. The time the photo was taken was a little bit too late in the night, and so all of these chairs show up really dark, whereas on the left hand side you can see there's still a light illuminating on all these different chairs. The editing of the light bulbs is significantly brighter and warmer lighting in comparison, even though it's an edit. Like this is a warm light, this is a white light, right? This is a lot smaller in comparison to how big this is. The skies are technically done just fine, but you can see if you just look at the backs of these chairs, this image is much darker in comparison to this image. And so you just want to hit it from an angle where a time of the day and edit it in a way that allows it to look as bright as we can see here. Now, another thing to mention here, and I don't have an example of this, is you don't want to take the fire pit photo from too far back, because then you're just looking at a bunch of chairs and you can't really get the intimate feeling of the interior. And you don't want to hit it from too high of an image either, where you're standing looking down at the fire pit, just like we did with the pool table. Those are both examples of not shooting the photo properly. For the rest of this presentation, what I want to do is actually just show you amazing photos of different types of settings and what makes them so great. I don't have a bad example because there's just not really a good bad example of these types of photos, but I'm going to show you great photos one by one as we go through. This image here, in my opinion, is one of the greatest ways of attracting couples and getting people excited about a romantic experience. This home would never be set up like this when you arrive. However, this is the cover photo of the image. And the reason they do this is because they're trying to hit their demographic, which are couples, better than anybody else. And so they set the scene to create this experience. They have candles out, they have string lights out, they shot it at the right time of the day. Even the luxury outdoor fire pit that they set up here is red, which is a romantic color, right? The blankets, the pillows, everything is so well set here to be able to show off this really great experience that you can have at their Airbnb. This is marketing. Setting it up to be able to target a specific demographic is marketing. Then taking a proper photo to show it off really well is marketing. And that's how you hit it right there. This image is a beautiful drone shot of a property out in upstate New York that does extraordinarily well in comparison to its competition. Way more than it should, solely because of the photos. And I'm going to explain who the photographer is on this because you guys should study him because he is so good. But this photo is also edited to show this winter wonderland of this property. Even if every single last one of these wasn't perfectly covered in white, they're making it feel that way. And it feels like an absolute winter wonderland when you look at this property. Absolutely beautiful photo. I also love what they did with the lights here. So you have these lights that are really well illuminated on both ends. The inside of the home has lights all going. This was probably edited in, the smoke coming out of the chimney there, but they also even have the fire pit lit up at the exact same time. All of those things bring the image to life, and I can't stress it enough that that's what you should be doing as well. This is a beautiful drone shot from a distance. The use of lighting on this image is awesome because we're at a distance, but every single last thing is still lit up. I love that image. This one here is not not a reality of how you would actually see the view, but it shows off this home with the view in the background beautifully. I absolutely love this photo. I love the view that you see. This is gonna get anybody excited to stay at your home. This interior photo, so lighting on the inside of the home, is also extremely important to set a mood, create an experience, get people to want to book your home. This is an arcade room. They painted it black and then they added a bunch of neon lights in here. It elevates the entire game room more than all the other game rooms by doing these simple few touches, but the image of it is tight. It shows off the different neon lights. It shows off the different games, and it's really, really well done. I love that the arcade image is dead in the middle and then you see everything else. And now lastly, to finish off here, if you want to study somebody who truly knows and understands how to take beautiful, perfect Airbnb photos, go and check out this guy, Dirt and Glass, on Instagram. His photos are unbelievable, and I strongly recommend learning from this guy. Now, the final thing that I want to mention here is that almost everybody watching this video is not an Airbnb photographer. You are an Airbnb owner or somebody who wants to own an Airbnb, which means that when you see all these images, you still have to hire a photographer. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, John, I should just find a photographer that understands all this stuff and get them to do it. And the reality is that the vast majority of photographers can only take you so far. Yes, you want to try and find somebody who at least knows what they're doing. Check out their website, check out their past work, make sure that they have these beautiful photos. But even with the certain angles that they will take, you have to sometimes coach them through how to actually do that. And then on top of that, you also want to make sure that they're edited properly, because a lot of these photographers are not going to go to the detail of editing that you need them to be done. And so they will get all the photos done as long as you coach them all the way through. And then once you receive them, you have to go through the process of getting them edited in the best way possible. And if you really want to go deeper into the photos, you can check out this video here, which is my photo shoot guide on how to take proper Airbnb photos. See you in the next one.